"Wilson, you traitor," Gray spat. Wilson smiled. "They promised to spare those who helped them. What would you do?" Novak's hand moved to his pocket. The lead intruder raised its weapon arm. "Don't," Wilson warned. "Their sensors detect movement." Holt stepped forward. "What do they want?" "Information," Wilson said. "About our defenses, our weapons systems." Novak caught Holt's eye and glanced down at the floor. She gave a tiny nod. "Take us to your leader," Holt said to the armored figures. "I'm the commanding officer. I have the information you need." The intruders communicated with clicks and whirs. One gestured with its weapon. "They want you to move," Wilson translated. Slowly, they stepped into the corridor. Novak stumbled, dropping the small devices he'd made. They clattered across the floor. "Sorry," he mumbled, bending down. An intruder shoved him forward with its weapon. Novak fell to his knees, hands pressed against the floor. "Now," he whispered. Holt and Gray closed their eyes. Novak slammed his palm against a small trigger he'd placed on the floor. A blinding flash filled the corridor. The intruders' visors darkened instantly to protect their vision systems. In that moment of blindness, Novak moved. He slid between two intruders, slapping small adhesive patches onto their armor joints. Gray tackled Wilson. Holt fired her magnetic disruptor at the lead intruder. Its armor locked up, joints frozen. "Run!" Novak shouted. They sprinted down a side corridor. Behind them, the adhesive patches began to smoke. Two intruders fell, their armor seals compromised. They reached a maintenance hatch. Novak yanked it open. "In here." They crawled through the narrow space. Novak pulled the hatch shut and jammed it with a metal bar. "That won't hold them long," Gray said, breathing hard. "It doesn't need to." Novak led them through the cramped tunnel. "We just need to reach the training room." They emerged in a large gym. 20 elite cadets stood in formation, armed with standard weapons that wouldn't work against the intruders. "Commander on deck," someone shouted. Holt stepped forward. "The station is under attack. Standard weapons are ineffective." The cadets looked at each other nervously. "Cadet Novak will show you how to fight back," Holt continued. "Follow his instructions exactly." Novak moved to a supply closet. He broke it open and began distributing equipment, cleaning supplies, tools, training gear. "Form teams of 4, he ordered. "Each team takes these materials. I'll show you what to make." For the next 20 minutes, Novak taught them to build improvised weapons. Some cadets caught on quickly. Others struggled. "They're coming," Gray called from the door. "I can hear them." Novak handed out the last of the weapons. "Remember, aim for joints and sensors. Work in teams. One distracts, one attacks." The main door exploded inward. Armored intruders poured through the smoke. "Now!" Holt shouted. The cadets attacked in coordinated groups. They used Novak's weapons with varying success. Some intruders fell. Others pushed forward. Novak fought beside Holt, moving with practiced efficiency. He disabled 2 intruders with a chemical spray that froze their armor joints. A blast hit the wall near them. Concrete chunks flew everywhere. Novak pushed Holt down, taking a hit to his shoulder. He stumbled. "Novak!" Holt grabbed him as he fell. Through the smoke and chaos, a larger figure entered. Its armor was different, sleeker, with glowing symbols. The other intruders stepped back. The leader pointed directly at Novak. "That one," it said in perfect English. "Bring me that one." Commander Diane Holt stood at the observation window, arms crossed, watching the weapons test below. 20 cadets fired laser rifles at moving targets. 19 hit their marks with precision. 1 did not. "Novak missed again," said Lieutenant Gray beside her. "5th time this week." Holt's jaw tightened. "His scores in tactics and strategy are top of the class. How can he be this bad with standard weapons?" On the range floor, Cadet Frank Novak lowered his rifle. His face showed no emotion as the instructor barked at him. The other cadets kept their distance. "Pull his file," Holt ordered. 10 minutes later, in her steel-walled office, Holt scanned Novak's records on her screen. Border colony upbringing. Parents killed in the Sector 7 conflicts. Highest aptitude scores in Academy history. Lowest weapons proficiency ever recorded. The door chimed. "Enter," she said. Novak stepped in. Average height, thin build. Nothing remarkable except his eyes alert, calculating, never still. Cadet Novak reporting as ordered, "Commander." "Sit down." Holt gestured to the chair across from her desk. "You failed weapons qualification. Again." "Yes, Commander." "Explain." Novak shifted slightly. "Standard weapons don't feel right in my hands. They're designed to feel right in everyone's hands. Cadet. Not in mine, Commander." Holt leaned forward. "A Space Force needs soldiers who can use standard issue equipment. This isn't a debate club." "I understand, Commander." The base alarm suddenly blared. Red lights flashed. Holt checked her wrist display. Just a drill. She silenced the alarm in her office with a tap. "I'm assigning you remedial training," she said. "Report to Training Bay 12 at 06:00 tomorrow." "Yes, Commander." Holt stood up. "One more thing. Special assignment. Improvise a weapon. Show me what you can do when not restricted to standard issue." Something changed in Novak's eyes. A spark. "Any parameters, Commander?" "Nothing that would breach security protocols. Nothing lethal. Just show me you understand the concept of weaponry." "When do you need it?" 3 days. Novak nodded and left. 2 days later, Lieutenant Gray burst into Holt's office during morning briefing. "Commander, you need to see this now." Holt followed Gray through the station's corridors. Security personnel rushed past them toward the cadet quarters. "What happened?" Holt demanded. "Room inspection of Cadet Novak's quarters." "And?" "We found weapons. Many weapons." They reached Novak's quarters. 6 security officers stood outside. Inside, Holt stopped cold. Every surface held improvised weapons. A pen modified to fire small projectiles. Bed springs fashioned into throwing stars. Air vent covers sharpened into blades. Cleaning chemicals combined in small containers. Desk lamp rewired into what looked like a crude energy disruptor. "We've counted 47 so far," Gray said. "All made from standard room items." Holt picked up what appeared to be a harmless stylus. She pressed a hidden catch. A needle shot out, stopping just short of her finger. "Where is Novak now?" she asked. "Security has him in containment room 3. The station's emergency alert system suddenly activated. Not a drill this time. Unknown signals detected in neutral zone," announced the automated system. "All personnel to alert status." Holt looked at the array of improvised weapons, then at her wrist display showing approaching unidentified craft. "Bring Novak to command," she ordered. Now. Novak sat in containment room 3, hands flat on the metal table. 2 armed guards stood by the door. The room's single light cast harsh shadows across his face. The door slid open. Commander Holt entered with Lieutenant Gray. 47 weapons, Holt said, dropping a data pad on the table. "Explain." Novak's eyes flicked to the flashing red alert lights, visible through the small window. "Those signals in the neutral zone, they're not friendly, are they?" "Answer my question, Cadet." Novak leaned forward. "Where I grew up, we didn't have fancy weapons. When raiders came, we used what we had." "Raiders?" "Border Colony GX-219. We called it Dust Bowl." Novak's voice remained flat. Official protection never came. Holt's wrist buzzed. She answered. "Holt here." Battle stations. "I'm on my way." She cut the connection and stared at Novak. This conversation isn't over. Those ships, Novak said. They'll jam your weapon systems first. Standard military protocol. Holt paused at the door. How would you know that? Because that's what I would do. Another violent shake rocked the station. The lights flickered. Bring him, Holt ordered the guards. They rushed through corridors filled with running cadets and officers. Emergency blast doors sealed behind them. Through viewport windows, Novak glimpsed dark shapes moving against the stars. The command center was chaos. Officers shouted over each other. Screens showed approaching vessels sleek, black, with no visible propulsion. Status report, Holt demanded. 5 unknown vessels, reported an officer. No response to communications. Our defense systems are offline. Weapons? Nothing works. Targeting computers down. Manual systems not responding. Novak stepped forward. A guard grabbed his arm. Let him speak, Holt ordered. Your weapons are designed to work as a system, Novak said. These attackers know that system. And you have a better idea? Gray asked. You need weapons they don't expect. Novak pointed to a screen showing the alien ships. Those aren't raiders. The design is all wrong. But the tactics are the same. Holt studied him. Lieutenant, pull up Novak's colony records. Gray worked the console. GX-219. Commander, this is classified. Override. Authorization, Holt Alpha 7. The screen changed. Novak's face hardened as he read. Human Adaptability Project. Gray read. GX-219 was a military experiment. They deliberately left those colonists without support to test survival capabilities. Novak's hands clenched. They watched us die. The station rocked violently. Lights failed completely before emergency power kicked in. Because right now, I'm the only one who knows how to fight them. Novak's eyes were cold. And because I've been waiting my whole life to hurt someone who deserves it. The command center door exploded inward in a shower of metal and sparks. Smoke filled the command center. Through the haze, 2 armored figures stepped through the ruined doorway. Their suits were black with no visible seams. No faces showed behind their dark visors. Down! Novak shouted, grabbing Holt and pulling her behind a console. The intruders raised weapon arms. Silent energy pulses hit 3 officers. They dropped instantly. Lieutenant Gray fired his sidearm. The shots sparked uselessly against the armor. Novak grabbed a cooling pipe from under the console and yanked. Hot steam burst out, filling the room with thick white clouds. He pulled a handful of small metal objects from his pocket screws and bolts he de-grabbed from a repair panel in the corridor. Cover your ears, he told Holt. He threw the metal pieces at the floor near the intruders. The screws skittered across the metal deck plates. The armored figures turned toward the sound. Novak grabbed a fire extinguisher from the wall. He smashed its nozzle against the edge of the console, breaking it open. White chemical foam sprayed everywhere. He aimed it at the intruders' visors. The maintenance shaft, he said to Holt. No. They crawled to a small hatch in the floor. Gray followed, dragging an injured cadet. Behind them, the intruders fired blindly through the steam and foam. Their shots hit control panels, which sparked and exploded. Novak pulled the hatch open. Go. Holt hesitated. My crew. They're dead if you die. Go. They dropped into the narrow shaft. Novak came last, pulling the hatch shut. They crawled through the tight metal tunnel. Emergency lights cast red shadows on their faces. How did you know their visors were vulnerable? Gray asked. Sealed armor needs sensors, Novak said. Block the sensors. You blind them. They reached a junction. Novak took the lead, moving with certainty through the maze of maintenance tunnels. Where are we going? Holt asked. Kitchen first. Then medical. They emerged in the empty kitchen. Alarms blared in the distance. Novak moved quickly, gathering items. Cooking oil, cleaning powder, metal serving trays. What are you making? Gray asked. Weapons. Novak handed him a spray bottle filled with mixed chemicals. Aim for joints in their armor. It'll eat through the seals. Holt's wrist cone crackled. Commander, they've taken levels 1 through 6. They're rounding up survivors. Who's reporting? She asked. Cadet Wilson. I'm hidden in the air ducts above the main hall. They're scanning for tech. I had to disable my comms security protocols to reach you. Stay hidden. We're coming. Novak looked up from his work. They'll trace that signal. I know, Holt said. But I won't abandon my people. Novak nodded. He handed her a makeshift weapon, a metal pipe with wires wrapped around it, connected to a power cell. Magnetic disruptor, he explained. One shot, then it burns out. Make it count. They moved through back corridors, avoiding main hallways. Novak led them to medical bay. Inside, he quickly gathered supplies. Surgical adhesive, oxygen canisters, scalpels. We need more people, he said, working fast. I can make weapons, but we need fighters. The combat training room, Gray suggested. Elite cadets might still be there. Holt nodded. It's 3 levels down. They reached a sealed door. Beyond it lay a corridor that would take them to the training levels. Novak pressed his ear to the door. 2 guards on the other side, he whispered. He handed each of them small devices made from medical supplies and kitchen tools. On my signal, he said. 3, 2. The door slid open unexpectedly. They found themselves face to face with a squad of armored intruders. Behind them stood Cadet Wilson, his eyes cold and empty. I found them, Wilson said. Just like you asked. 3 armored soldiers grabbed Novak. He struggled but couldn't break free. Blood ran down his arm from his shoulder wound. Let him go. Holt raised her weapon. The leader raised a hand. Commander Diane Holt, your resistance is noted. How do you know my name? We know many things. The leader stepped closer to Novak. This specimen interests us. Novak stopped struggling. His eyes narrowed. You're not here for the station. Correct. We came for you. Around them, the fighting had stopped. Cadets stood frozen, weapons half raised. Several lay wounded on the floor. The border colony, Novak said. That wasn't a military experiment. It was yours. The leader tilted its head. Very good. GX-219 was a testing ground. We observe before we conquer. Holt moved closer to Novak. What do you want with him? Adaptability. Your species' only notable trait. The leader touched Novak's face with a metal finger. This one adapted best. Novak didn't flinch. His hand slowly moved to his pocket. The weapons test was the final assessment, the leader continued. Standard weapons fail. Improvisation succeeds. He proves our theory. What theory? Gray asked. That humans are useful tools. The leader turned to its soldiers. Take him to the ship. Novak pulled something from his pocket, a small metal cylinder. I made this one in my room, he said quietly. Number 48. He pressed it against the leader's armor. A high-pitched whine filled the air. The leader's armor cracked. Light poured from the fractures. Run, Novak shouted. Cadets scattered as the leader's armor began to glow white-hot. The soldiers holding Novak released him to protect their commander. Novak grabbed Holt's arm. The reactor core. Now. They ran, Gray and several cadets following. Behind them, a massive explosion rocked the training room. What was that device? Holt asked as they sprinted down corridors. Resonance disruptor. Turns their armor's energy against itself. They reached the reactor control room. Novak moved to the main console. Their ships are connected to their armor systems, he explained, typing rapidly. Same technology, same weakness. The station shuddered. Emergency lights flashed. They're preparing to destroy the station, Gray reported from another console. Novak finished his work. Not if we destroy them first. He pressed a final button. The reactor core hummed louder. What did you do? Holt asked. Reversed the containment field. It's now projecting the same resonance frequency as my disruptor, but stronger. On the monitors, they watched as the alien ships began to break apart, energy pouring from their hulls. It's working, Gray said. The remaining intruders in the station collapsed as their armor failed. Alarms blared. Warning, reactor instability detected. Can you stop it? Holt asked Novak. He shook his head. The resonance is feeding back into our systems. Evacuation pods, Holt ordered. Everyone out now. As they rushed to the escape bay, Novak stumbled. His wound was worse than it looked. Holt caught him. Stay with me, cadet. Not a very good cadet, he mumbled. Failed every weapons test. I'm changing your grade, she said, helping him into an escape pod. From space, they watched the station tear itself apart in a ball of blue-white energy. The alien ships were already gone, reduced to floating debris. In the crowded escape pod, Novak sat quietly, staring at his hands. What happens now? Gray asked. They'll be back, Novak said. This was just a test. Holt looked at the wounded cadets, the frightened faces. Then at Novak. Then we'll be ready, she said. Cadet Novak, I'm promoting you to instructor. What will I teach? Improvisation? Holt handed him a datapad. And I want more than 48 options next time. For the first time, Novak smiled. It didn't reach his eyes.